Peace. Abrahadabra. This is Chakra Zulu. I'm here to give you part 2 of the Ausar Chronicles. Like I said, I'm here to give a dissertation on the symbolic castration of the black man in America. Now, if you follow the first part, I broke down the history of Ausar and how that came to be in the Egyptian theology, as far as his phallus getting cut off and whatnot. Again, that was a symbolic move, because the penis is fundamentally what makes you a man, physically, of course. But what I'm talking about is on a higher level, because if you cut off the penis, then any man can tell you, he's not going to feel like a man. So what's happened to us, what's happened to the black man, is that we've been symbolically castrated in every facet of manhood. In this particular piece, I'm going to talk about how we've been castrated from fatherhood. Comes from slavery. A lot of everything that's wrong with us comes from slavery, because we didn't have a lot of these problems before slavery came along. Before slavery in America came along, I should say. During slavery, the black man was not allowed to be a father. He was allowed to be an uncle, hence the term Uncle Tom. But he was never allowed to be a father, because if he was, then the jig would have been up for the white man, who has always felt inferior. He's always been self-conscious around the black man for a myriad number of reasons. And this is not for me to bash white people. I'm just telling facts, so the white people who are offended, a hit dog always holler. You can take it or leave it alone. It's not for you anyway. The black woman was allowed to be a mother during slavery. Even if her kids were stripped from her and she was forced to raise white children, she was still allowed to be a mother. Okay, so the reason why you have a lot of absentee black fathers in this modern day era, it's a trickle down effect from slavery. Okay, hell, if you got black men who aren't allowed to be fathers, how in the fuck do you expect, black men to, be able to pass that on to their sons, the responsibility of everything that comes with being a father and the head of a household? They want to put this bullshit guilt trip on the black man about, how he's not there for his children, how he's not this and that and whatever. But nobody ever wants to look back at the history of how all that got started. I can guarantee you that before slavery in America came along, that you didn't have these problems in the black family, in the black community, and then when you bring in a little something called child support services, where you got this Europoid, Caucasoid institution that tells a black woman, oh, well, you don't need to put up with the black man and his shit and the problems that he brings, but you can still get that money for them kids, All that is an offshoot of Willie Lynch, because, again, Willie Lynch, the three things that he used in order to divide black people, one of them was pitting gender against each other. It was light skin against dark skin, man against woman, and the younger generation versus the older generation. So when it comes to putting man against the woman, we were, in terms of, we weren't allowed to have functioning relationships with black women during slavery. We were bred to be studs, big black bucks. We weren't allowed to love our woman and to, be intimate with our woman to where we could raise a strong nation. So when it came to just fucking and then that's it, and then there's nothing else in common, and in a modern day culture, you got black women and black men going at each other's throats, and not giving any incentive or giving any inkling or giving any light as to how to solve their problems and to be able to, keep the family together. They say, fuck it, fuck that nigga, get him up out of here, we gonna get his money. And then they wonder why black men don't want to be bothered, because the black woman has been allowed to be turned into such a bitch. And I'm not saying all black women, You know, because you got some niggas out there that regardless of whatever's going on, you know, they're just incorrigible, you know, but they'll, you got some black women who will make it impossible to get along with. And so even when a black man is trying to be about his children, you know, in terms of her making it impossible for him, that includes whenever he's trying to deal with his children. You know, a lot of people are going to disagree with that because they're not going to take the time to break down the science behind what I'm saying. You know, they're just going to look at their own personal situation and be like, oh, well, my baby daddy wasn't shit, so da 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 da. But if your baby daddy wasn't shit, then who's that on? Because hell, you laid with him. You know, when y'all lay down horizontally, that makes the equal sign. You know, so at one point in time, that's exactly what you wanted. You know, just because it didn't work out, hell, that's on both of y'all. That's not just on him. You know, so that's one aspect of it. You know, it's a catch-22. You know, that we didn't create, but we damn sure the victims of, and that guilt trip that they put on us. You know, was all a grand setup from the goddamn beginning. Hell, you want to talk about deadbeat dads? The first deadbeat dad was the white man who laid up with black women during slavery and didn't want to claim the motherfucking kids. How about that?